years. And we have of all of my special guests, we have a very, very special guest this evening. So tell me, where are you located? What do we call you lovingly in Woodstock?
Well,
and how can we contact you?
I have two names, or no names. Actually, my name is, people in Woodstock know me as Fiona. I have a shop in Woodstock called Fiona, and I'm actually a clairvoyant, and I work here in Woodstock as well as in England and Australia and New Zealand. I'm all over the place, but I only do my sessions with people in person, not via phone or, not with any electronics. And that's, I guess some people think I'm a psychic. I guess I don't know about that word though. I wrote a book called The Reluctant Psychic, and there's talk of perhaps making it into a series or a movie at this point in time. Very soon we're going to do something with that, and that's what I do.
Well, I kind of agree with you. I think psychic is a difficult word.
It's a very used up kind of word.
Yes.
I jokingly call myself the Oracle. My friends have all kinds of names for me. Most of them flattery. Most of them. I tend to call myself a clairvoyant. Not even a trance channeler, although I used to kind of be that. I go with clairvoyant. I'm a spiritualist, actually. I work exclusively with spirits, but I also study the concept of quantum physics, that past, present, and future are all happening at once. So when I have a session with a person, I tune into all time and work with them as far as describing what I see. It's simply reading energy and describing the energy that I see.
And how does one get an appointment with you?
You have to go on SusanFionaSaxman.com online and schedule an appointment in advance. Right now, I'm actually taking appointments as far into December and January.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, it's...
No, but that's good,
Yeah.
because people can come for the holidays and
Yeah,
get a reading during the holidays.
Yes, it's a jolly. I'm often given as Christmas gifts to people.
Yeah, and so this is
or
great.
Yuletide, I'm a gift at times. to
So
people.
you have openings in December, and then you have openings in January. So this
Right
could
now-
be a gift certificate as well
Yeah.
as coming
Yeah,
because you're in town.
Yeah, if you're visiting in town. I don't do walk-in clients, although you're welcome to come in and visit me at my shop. I'm usually there with my little dog.
With Ghost.
With Ghost.
Everyone loves Ghost.
Everyone loves Ghost. She's way more popular than I am. And I was walking her through town today. We went to have lunch. Yes, I took my dog for lunch. We go to the Garden Cafe. And I'm walking and people are in town and are like, Ghost! Hi, Ghost! And then they're like, oh, Fiona, hi. So she's very known in town. She looks like a little ghost. She's white and glows in the dark.
And she's adorable.
And she is adorable.
And she's totally adorable. Well, let me ask you something, girl. We have so much going on in the world now.
Yeah.
How much of that is coming through?
A lot. A lot is coming through. And everything right now, people tend to ask me about what I think about future events. And, unfortunately, things can be predicted as far as future things. Like the Trump election, that was all predicted. And people back then, 2016, would look at me like, no, don't tell me he's going to win. I'm like, yeah, he's going to win. I didn't want him to win, certainly. But he did. And we have to ask ourselves often, how much of this is preordained? What is fate? What isn't fate? What is fate? Are things destined to be? Often, and this has happened so many times, and it's happened to all of us, But there's this strange coincidences that are thrust upon us every day. An example of this, I go to Nottingham, England, usually once a year, but since COVID, I haven't been there actually for 3 years. I just made plans to go in March again, and I'm so happy. My friends over in England are happy about me coming back home, as I call it, because I dearly love them and England. So this past weekend, just after, I usually take Ghost to the Woodstock flea market in the mornings. I come back from the flea market. Actually, I had just seen you on Sunday. You had given me the DVD of the last time we had an interview. I come back to my shop, and sitting in front of my shop on the stone was a woman. She was just sunning herself. It was warm then. A lovely woman from England was sitting there. She's like, "Oh, I didn't know this was your shop." She says, "I'm just here for visiting friends." She's like, "I'm visiting." She says, "I'm from Nottingham." Now, there's a lot of different places in England. She's just visiting me. She's not visiting me, but she's visiting from England. Turns out we start chatting. She knows the same people I know in Nottingham.
And she shows up on your doorstep.
Completely unrelated to anything. She also was looking for a psychic in Woodstock. Didn't know anything about me. We knew nothing about each other. We started talking. What are the chances of that?
Not very big.
Things like this, though, happen a lot. A great deal. And, I mean, we have to ask ourselves, how do things like this happen? It's like a gravity pull that puts certain people in certain places. And that's one of the things I was trying to, thinking about, talking about, these strange coincidences that happen on a daily basis, actually. It was such a extreme, I mean, it isn't like the woman was from London and we're talking about London. Nottingham, Trent University, she knows people who live on the same street that I'm going to be staying at in Nottingham. How does that happen?
And Nottingham is a small town.
It's not like the popular, it's not London, you know. So when things like that happen, it's kind of a wake-up call, because I was wondering that day, should I go back in March? That was kind of a call like, yeah, I'm doing the right thing. We're on the right track. When we get messages like that from the universe, I think it's the universe telling us we're doing the right thing. We're on the right track. In readings, when I tune in to a person, there's always free will. And yet, the future, I feel, could be, this is always something debatable, is it preordained information? Like when I see a person that we're talking about children in their future, I don't see babies. I see these children are already like toddler-sized. It's like they're there already, but they're on another plane of existence, but they exist. I can't really explain that.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense to me.
Does it?
Yes.
Does it? It's like, I don't see them as babies. I see them as toddlers. They're already walking around. They already have their little clothes on. They're not like babes in arms.
Well,
it's a time thing.
It is a time thing.
It's a time thing. So it's really tuning in on a time loop.
Well, or a time path, a time stretch or something, and here they are. And that's okay. I mean, that's okay if you can buy into it and if you can participate.
I actually have asked certain people, like when specific things like different, like the whole question, how many children am I going to have? I actually ask when I give them information like that. I said, have you gone to other psychics? And they're like, yeah, and you've all said the same things. Like, it's kind of like I asked them to go to other people and
there it is.
See if this makes sense to them. They compare, and yeah, it seems like, so we're kind of we have our destiny kind of set out, stretched already, if that makes sense.
Oh, I think it makes a lot of sense, but you can always upset it.
We can upset her if we say, like, we definitely don't want children, we can change that whole thing. It's hard for me to kind of talk about quantum physics when I don't really know what I'm talking about.
Well, do you know anybody that does quantum physics that knows what they're talking about?
No.
So
No, I think they make it up as they go along. But it's sort of interesting when I'm sitting with a person during a session and I'm getting stuff like that, and we kind of get it both at that moment, and we're like, yeah. I don't know if I ever told you about this woman who came in who was very, very conservative. And she sat across from me, and immediately I thought, wow, this is going to be really hard. As soon as the woman sat down, she worked in like a legal building and for like a fancy lawyer, I don't know, a court thing. And she sat across from me, and she was very, very, very buttoned down. And the whole room was spinning around. And I looked at her and I thought, I can't even mention this because this is good. I'm going to sound absolutely insane to her. But the room was like twirling like this, like a sci-fi film. She looked at me and she said, do you see that the room is spinning around?
Well,
yeah.
So much for your reticence there. It's okay to say it.
So that's it. I learned not to hold back. You know, I don't really hold back so much anymore. Even if it's the most craziest thing that doesn't make any sense to somebody, it's going to make sense.
Oh, I think that when you see something and you feel like, well, I can't say this, it's too crazy, that's where you're hitting on the truth.
That's when I really have to say it.
Yeah.
Yesterday a woman came to me, her father died, and I started singing. I can see clearly now, the rain has gone. And I started singing it. And that was her father's favorite song. And when he died, she was driving home and it played on the radio. I always have to say that ghosts always, or spirits I should call it, ghost seems like it's not dignified enough. They like to communicate via electronics. Whether it's radio, television, blinking of lights. Blinking of lights is a big deal for them. And of course, we're coming on Halloween, and they call it like this is the season for the spirits to communicate. The veils are thinnest. I think it's only thinnest because we believe it to be. That really is it. It's not really that the month of October is any different than any other month. It's that we put so much energy into believing that there's power to it or truth to it. That it's a scary month or it's a spooky month or whatever, the spirits are more apt to come through. I still won't do sessions on Halloween for some weird reason.
You
won't
think
do it.
You say that, but also I think October is powerful in its own way because people are thinking about it in ways that they wouldn't think about it at all for the other 11 months of the year.
Yes.
So we bring that.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
I think we bring it to, we bring the reality of the witchy season here. And it makes it more real. It makes it, just like with any religion of any kind, if you believe in it, you make it real.
Yes.
Any religion, it doesn't matter what it is. Your heaven is your heaven. If you don't believe in some place, it's not going to happen.
Right.
Though everybody's right, really.
Well,
all religions are right. Oh, we talked about that once before.
Right, and and also in the Bible, our Father's house has many mansions or rooms or something.
Exactly. So you can't really go in a wrong room, can you? Yeah.
Well, you can go in a wrong room if you end up somewhere where you don't believe.
Exactly.
Where you're having questions, but that doesn't happen so much. No. You know?
No, so it's like what works for some people may not work for others, but so this other woman who came to see me, who was just so lovely the other day, she's a local. She had come in, had her reading. She was just very lovely, and then all of a sudden she looked down in the corner of my little store reading place, and she started crying. She said she was looking for a Hanuman statue, and she couldn't find one, and she likes them when they're broken, particularly. I had forgotten that I had one in the corner of my little place by my reading table with a broken hand, and she wanted it, and I just gave it to her. And she said this was the most special thing. She was looking for one. I didn't even know I had them there.
Wow.
And I did, apparently. But what's interesting about Hanuman is like he was a monkey god, and he always had to be reminded his power and what he could do. And I always related to that because I always, like, my whole life thought, I can't do anything. I wasn't really worth anything because that's how I was raised. And I always related to him because this was my abilities. This weird thing that I do is, I guess, my gift. That's my gift. So I was a little like Hanuman. Have to be constantly reminded.
You know, that you just said something that's very interesting. You just talked about, you suggested to me that you do psychic readings because that is what you can do.
That's what I can do. That's like, I couldn't last a day in an office. I was the worst waitress any of you would ever have. I never did anything else except this. I can't do anything. I could write. I could sing a little, but I never had anything
you
else.
can write? What have you written so far, my dear?
Well, I used to write a lot of poetry, but I channeled them.
Okay.
Even as a child,
so
I
were
would
transcribing.
Things would come through, and it was funny because even when I was in school, I would hand in papers, and the nuns, my friends, the nuns, would go, "You didn't write this."
Ooh.
They hated me because they'd be like, "You didn't write this. Who wrote this?" And I'd be like, "I wrote it." But they would actually be like poems that were rhymed, almost like sonnets.
Yeah.
Actually, I guess they're right. I didn't write them. Somebody else did.
Well, but you did. I mean,
yeah,
you wrote
but
what
I
came
was
to
channeling,
you.
and I would sit there for hours at night when I'd come home from school, and I'd be writing. Actually, I realize now it was automatic writing. So I was doing this my entire life. Actually, as I'm sitting here now, I'm getting clairaudient things going on. But that's a whole nother thing.
Really?
Yeah. It's this white noise thing that happens in my head when I talk about stuff like this. But yeah, I'd constantly get messages and just be open to messages like a radio. Yeah.
How have you incorporated that into your life?
In my life?
Yeah, how do you use that, or do you use it?
I just do this. I don't do anything else but readings.
I know, but I mean, you talk about the clairaudience.
Oh,
How do you incorporate that? Yeah.
In everyday occurrences, I try to ignore it because it's distracting. I find it very hard to shut off the voices. Now I know I'm sounding really weird, but I really do.
No, that is not weird at all. But my question is, if you are trying to close it down.
I don't close it down. I've never been able to meditate. I've never been able to do yoga. I've never been able to follow any kind of directions because I'm always hearing all this stuff in my head. Yeah.
Well, I think that's a plus.
It is. I mean, I'm like a lot of people have always, like, people are like, you have to ground yourself. No, I don't think it would work the same way. I'm not grounded, but I do, like, when you see me at the flea market when I go on Saturdays and Sundays, or if I do something like wander, I read a lot. I read a lot of books. That's my little escape. That's my little way of going away. Before clients come to see me, I'm not sitting there meditating or doing anything. I'm reading a book. And then as soon as I see them at the door, I close the book, put it away, and go right to the reading. There's no bridge between the two. It's like shut down one thing and go to the next. And then when they're gone, when it's over with the reading, it stops.
It's over.
It's over.
Well, I think that's just natural. That's part of your...
It's over. It's like, it's not like, and it's funny, if you do go on my Facebook page, Susan Saxman, if you want to friend me, I don't mention anything about psychic things. You might have noticed that. I don't no.
Well, that's because we're all trying to, when I contact you on your Facebook page, that's to
That's
confirm
different, yeah.
things.
But it's not like I don't talk about anything other than, pretty much pictures of my dog, that's all you'll see. But,
And
yeah.
her pictures are so fabulous.
They are.
I'm waiting for the picture book.
We should. We really should.
They are
really
fabulous.
are, the pictures. And I do have, you might have seen some of the cemetery pictures that have been taken of me. I enjoy a good cemetery, folks. Bring me to a cemetery and I'm happy. The older the better. I love cemeteries because of the, I think that everyone who is buried, even though the bodies, I know the souls aren't there, but they like to have their names spoken out. They like to be remembered. So I tend to go and hi, how are you doing? Say their name, wander around, particularly some people more than others. The older the cemeteries, the better. English cemeteries are the best because they're ancient.
So when you go around, how do you select?
I'm just drawn to it. And if anyone goes cemetery wandering with me, I just go off on my own and like a magnet go to certain ones and visit.
How fun.
I just visit. It's really fun. It's really fun. I have this wonderful two friends, this father and son, who take me. We started the Woodstock Paranormal group. It's very small, but we go to different places. And one of them is we went to Greenwood Cemetery in Brooklyn, wandered around there. We go to different haunted buildings and stuff, and just to feel it out. We have a voice recorder or EVP thing, not to call down anyone who doesn't want to be here, but if anyone wants to come through to talk, they can, spirit-wise. We don't want to disturb anybody.
Well, now tell us about this is the Woodstock
Paranormal Society, yeah. We just started it a few months ago.
Did you really?
Yeah.
So how does somebody join if they want to?
Just go on Facebook, Woodstock Paranormal Society.
Oh, you put it on Facebook?
Yeah, we did.
Oh, how cute.
And it is cute because it's a little thing, and some of them, there's not many of us. And we might go to visit, I think in the next couple of weeks, we might be going to a Rhinebeck cemetery just to check. Not a whole lot of old. There are some old graveyards, but we like to go to the battlefields, like Saratoga battlefields and stuff, just to feel the energy. We got some pictures of orbs. You all know what orbs are. The energy that you see, sometimes they look like water spots on cameras, or you've seen them, of course. They look like balls or floating above. Usually bubbles, and they're the easiest ways for spirits to materialize.
And so you're going to historical places and you're going to battlefields.
Yeah. Mines, the Widow Jane mine in, I think it's in Winecliff or something. We've gone there. We take pictures and we get orbs and stuff.
Well, but the situation is that in this part of New York State, there's a lot.
There's a lot. There was also an underground railroad here, too.
So you have a lot of that.
We also, we like to wander around. And now, for me, it seems a little bit like, after what I do during the day, could get a little tiring at night to do this. But I enjoy doing it once in a while. Ghost of my life, what can I say?
So what motivated you to start the Woodstock Paranormal?
The father of his two sons, the father and the son, they're very enthused. And the father, he's really energetic, and he's like, let's start a society.
Oh, gosh.
So, yeah.
Oh, I think that would be great
fun. It's really cute. It's nice. So we have a few people, not a whole bunch of locals, but a few.
Can I join?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. I'll have to remember now.
Yeah.
Because I can get onto Facebook, so I can...
Okay, good. But it's nice. They're very sweet people. But I'm not as perhaps as active as I should be because of what I do during the day. I get rather drained sometimes.
Well, you're kind of busy.
I'm kind of busy, yeah. And as we've said before, it's rather nice that in this day and age with technology and all that, that people are still, coming to see me the way they do, in the good old-fashioned face-to-face way.
So how do you, I thought just a question just came up to me.
Yes.
How do you incorporate reincarnation into this?
It's a little bit of a puzzle to me. It's a little quizzical because I think about this a lot. I think it's important to know, no matter what your beliefs are and all that, I do believe that if you want to reincarnate, you can. If you don't want to reincarnate, you don't have to. And I know different religions have different beliefs about this. I think what confuses people fear that if a person reincarnates, they will no longer be in heaven. I think you can still be, like, okay, if a person's father dies, their father is still their father, and only their father. That one entity will only be that one person. When you reincarnate, it's not the full 100% soul that comes back. It's an aspect of that soul, but I don't think they are a duplicate of that person.
So
it's just, it couldn't be.
So if a person reincarnates, then you still have this connection with your family.
They're still your real family. They're still your mother and your father and your ancestors. That person is still going to be in the heavenly realm. What comes back may be an aspect of like, oh, they kind of remind me a little bit of my father, that person. But I don't think, okay, we'll take it in a way people may understand. I don't think there's anybody walking on this planet right now that's the reincarnation of John Lennon.
Right.
I think there may be a person somewhere that, wow, he kind of plays music like John Lennon. Wow, he reminds me a lot of John Lennon. Could that person have a little aspect of John Lennon come back? Did John Lennon want to jump into another little boy that was born in northern England somewhere just to have a go again? But he's still... The original John Lennon is still in heaven. So I see it as like a duality. You're never going to be fully 100% that person again, because how could you be?
That makes a lot of sense to me.
It's not like, because how could you be? You have different mother and father. You'll have a different, the DNA, it's a whole DNA thing too. Could you really come back 100% a carbon copy of who you were?
Well, that's not reincarnation. That would be cloning.
Yeah, and why would you be 100% the same? Because you wouldn't be learning anything. There wouldn't be any...
Right.
There's so many people who right now, I think it's the thing to say, I don't want to come back. Well, folks, I want to keep coming back. Because I find even the world at its worst is really interesting.
It is fascinating.
It's fascinating.
Isn't it?
It's fascinating.
It's interesting and fascinating to those who are in that experience.
Yeah.
In other words, I'm very connected to my community.
Yeah.
So I am in this experience. But I meet other people who are not connected at all.
There's a theory that everyone has to be rich and poor, male, female, all kinds of races, everything that I don't think you reincarnate because of bad karma that you've done or anything like that. I mean, that's my feeling. It shouldn't be a punishment to come back, I feel very strongly that I've lived many times before and ultimately have done this work before many times. Not always with the best ending. There could have been some, hanging, burned at the stake kind of thing. You're not going to do it this time around, I'm sure. Perhaps. I know. Perhaps. We hope. There's always a little bit of a fear of that,
Well,
in a way.
one of the things that I studied under Alberto Villoldo, who is a shaman, and we had an experience in one of our classes in which all of us, and there was a bunch of us, went back and chose some lives from our past.
Ooh.
And whether it was because that's how each person saw it, or whether how it came about, there seemed to be a path.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, there's a theory we choose our families and our parents, and God knows. What was I thinking? I don't know.
Have you ever done readings on people who remember their past lives?
Yes. Yeah. And usually they feel very like they have to teach people here how to behave or how to advance in some way. There have been a lot of people right now coming, all ages, who are very aware of like trying to save the planet.
Well, we need those.
We need those kind of people, definitely.
But we feel, I feel, that our planet is imperiled.
Oh, it's
and
absolutely.
That it is ill.
It's almost
if we
hopeless.
say we go back 1,000 years,
Mm-hmm.
do you think that we felt our planet was imperiled then?
I don't. Not like it is now.
Okay.
I don't think the people had the awareness then, but I think that people have gotten, I hate to say it, stupider now. They're more unaware because they're distracted by technology. And I'm not even saying what I just said, and this may sound, I'm not even, half the stuff that comes out of me sometimes, I'm not even sure that I am saying it. Because I just heard in my head, people are distracted by technology, and that's where the stupidity comes from. That's the unawareness.
That.
I'm not thinking when I'm saying that. I just don't. I think that humans think that they're being so bright with what they're creating and what they're making, and it's actually destroying absolutely everything around them.
But what you just said is very profound, I believe. Because when you look at the youth of today,
Oh my God.
and especially the little ones, the toddlers, their brains are different. I'm sorry.
Oh,
I see
different.
how they work. I see how they communicate. Their brains are different.
Oh yeah.
And it is technology.
I'm scared by them.
Yeah. And you can take a toddler, and they've already got more technological savvy than I will ever have. And that's a blessing in its own self, I think. Not to have much more than I have now. But they have so much there.
Yeah, but these are also the same 5-year-olds I see, or in a couple of years they'll be throwing rocks at the deer outside my window.
Well, no, that's up to the mother and the preschool and the neighbors and the whatever. That's different from technology.
There's something lacking. There's a lot lacking. So there's something, for what they're gaining, there's also something hugely lost. And, yeah, I am not hopeful for the way that people are growing or what's happening here, but hopefully something will shock everybody to come back.
Well, one of the things that we do experience, I believe, is that physically we're different. The brain is different physically. And, we don't really see with our eyes. Our eyes pick up, and it goes through the cones and the whatevers. It goes back to the brain, and the brain registers it. I believe the brain is transposing
So
things.
it's getting more involved and evolved, maybe.
I don't know, but it is changing.
Yeah. Well, things are not as, I've also gotten asked a lot, even this past week, a woman, said to me, she's like, can you teach me? Can you take on an apprentice? I'm like, I cannot teach anybody to do this. It's not for me to teach. I don't believe I can. It's something that they have to be open to themselves. I mean, a lot of people think that there are classes in how to do this, how to do that, or maybe, but it's just, to me, it has to do with just opening up and accepting what's to receive, opening up to receive. And some of it's very, very confusing. Did I tell you last time that my dreams have stopped?
No.
This is something that's quizzical to me. For everything that I'm doing as far as the readings and all that, I no longer dream. Completely no dreams. What happened? What happened? The dreams are gone. I go to sleep and there's no dreams anymore. It's like that part of my brain's been taken off, or there's no dreaming.
I think it's taken a break.
Maybe I'm living in the dream space so often. There's an overstimulation of that astral part of the head or something. I'm concerned over it. I don't even know who to talk to about this.
I think that's stress. I think that I definitely feel that that's stress.
Dreams are gone. I've never had an experience like that. Dreams are gone.
When your life, I'm going to talk about myself now.
Okay.
When my life radically shifts, the dreams also shift.
Okay.
And I have radically changed my life in the last 4 or 5 months. And the dreams are either completely different or non-perceived. I believe that I still have the dreams because we need the dreams to process activities. But that doesn't mean that I remember them when I wake up.
Well, maybe the dreams are happening, I just don't remember them.
Right, that's what's happening to me.
That's probably happening then too.
Because, at a certain point, we just say enough is enough is enough. And I think it's interesting to go back to the woman that asked you if you could train her. I think you could train her. I think being psychic is like, it's a talent. It's like being a writer or an artist or a musician. Stephen King says, and he is, I do not read his work, but he's tremendously talented.
He is.
He says you can take an untalented person and teach them to be a competent writer. And I definitely believe that. And I definitely believe that transfers over to music and to
anything for teaching.
The study of mathematics and dance and anything else, that you can go a certain distance. And I have proven that because I have written several books, and I am not a talented writer. I am a person who learned to be a competent writer. And I'm fine with that. I mean, I took it where it needed to go to get the information out to the people. And so it's possible that you could. If you were of an intention to have classes. No.
No, too much. It's funny. People may ask, because I was asked to do a seance 2 weeks before. A seance, it sounds so funny. before Halloween, 2 weeks before Halloween. And then on Halloween, I refused to do readings, always on. And I said no to both things. And I wonder why, and it's to give the spirits a rest. I just don't want to bother them. Everyone else is going to bother them on Halloween. I don't want to do it.
I agree.
Don't you think?
Yeah.
It's just like, I don't want to do it. Let them rest in peace, for God's sake. Just rest in peace that day.
Listen, New Year's Eve, July the 4th,
It's
Halloween.
holidays.
These are amateur nights. These are amateur nights.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Let them have their peace.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to do it.
They're going to be all preoccupied with the amateurs all evening.
And I flatly refused. There was not enough money they could have paid me for that seance. I'm like, I'm not doing a seance.
Well, you know, I had that experience with tarot. I met a really talented tarot reader, and I got some friends together, and this was years ago, and I negotiated a series of classes. And she was a wonderful tarot reader, and she turned out to be a wonderful teacher, but like you, it was not my choice.
No.
And finally, she just said, I have had enough of this. She did not want the student experience.
No.
You know.
Nope. Nope. No.
And it wasn't that she was self-centered. It was just that she was not a teacher. She was a tarot reader.
Yeah.
And so she finally left town, man. It was like, she went to the Jersey Shore.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she went from Washington, D.C. to the Jersey Shore to get away from us.
So funny.
So, and that's, you have enough complication in your life.
Well, I remember when I used to, for 10 years, I worked at the Renaissance Fair, Sterling, the Tuxedo Park, back in my youth. And I had a booth there, but I refused. Maybe it was a bit of an ego thing, because I had been through the whole thing with, doing the psychic fairs in Manhattan and with John Edwards people and all that. By the time I got to the Renaissance Fair, they had an aisle called Mystic's Way, where all the psychics were. I refused to be set up on Mystic's Way with the other psychics. Refused it. So they had me off the beaten track somewhere else. And I would get out of my, into the fairgrounds, and people would run up to me and go, "Can I have a reading? Can I have a reading? Can I have a reading?" And it drove me crazy.
Yes.
Rather than being flattered by it, I wanted to run away screaming and ripping my hair out. It was, to me, I'd rather be in one of the 7 layers of hell. I couldn't even bear it. And it was like everywhere I went, I felt like I had like these people hanging on me.
They were hanging
on me, actually. And when I think about that, and yes, it's not, obviously we're much more dignified nowadays, but that was a long time ago. That had to be my son, that's over like 30 years ago. And I would walk around the grounds of the Renaissance Fair going, my God, I can't get away from this. I don't know how I'm going to stop it. People know.
So then you just quit coming.
I stopped going.
Yeah.
Stopped going. Because I didn't know how to I couldn't. Everyone knew. And then after that, everywhere I went, people were like, I changed my name. I used to be, at that time, I went by the name Sarita. And everyone knew me as Sarita. So it was years go by. And finally, I moved here in 2006. And I opened up the White Griffin. And I had the big store here. And I've said, I'm never going to do a reading again. I'm just going to sell cool clothes and do that. And people started going and going, are you that psychic from New York? Did I meet you at the Renaissance Fair? And I changed my name to Fiona. Whole different thing. And actually, I put a sign up that said pet readings. I was only going to do readings for animals. I'm like, forget people. I'm not going to deal with people anymore. I'm just going to do readings for animals. Sure enough, you realize you can't do a reading for a pet without getting information about the people. So the people would bring in their dogs and their cats, and here I was at the White Griffin, and people were bringing in cases with cats in it. I had people bring lizards in. I had people bring in every kind of animal you can imagine, bunnies. And when I'd sat with the animal, I started saying, well, there's this man he doesn't like named Kevin. Or I'd talk about, well, there's this woman down the street that's bothering her dog. As people would say, do you do readings for people too? There we go. Yeah. There you have it.
Yeah.
So here we are.
Well, you know, I think it's interesting that you did the readings of the animals.
Yeah.
And did you notice that there was a difference?
Animals were almost exactly like people, really. The animals were nicer. We all know animals are nicer than people, really. But the animals were the difference. The people were very respectful. The animals had a lot to complain about as far as people go. They had a lot of complaints.
Yes.
A lot. And they also hold grudges too in spirit.
Yes.
But that's the story of how I came to be here. But I came from, I went from, I was Sarita for a while, then Sarita became Fiona, and then I ended up, here. And then the rest.
Hey, that's great.
Yeah, it was, but I thought it was so funny. I was like, I will not do, after 10 years at the Renaissance Fair and all those years down at the...
Yeah, but this is better than the Renaissance Fair, isn't it?
Oh, God, yes. Oh, yes. Oh, so much better. So much better. But the Renaissance Fair was almost like it was a nightmarish, because it was like...
Right, the chaos.
The chaos, and also the fact that it was like, I couldn't walk in without, I couldn't see it. I didn't enjoy the Renaissance Fair because there were people who just wanted readings, which is what I was doing, but I'd be sitting in my little booth. It was like we built a pirate ship, and I had a little wooden box that I was in for hours at a time. Never came out. So.
And that was very confining, I'm sure. Mm-hmm.
So there's history. I don't think I have all that in the book.
Was Sarita a training ground, or did you just...
Sarita was not as brave as Fiona, because Sarita would hold back things that she saw. Because if I saw like something that was really unusual, I'd be like, oh, I can't say that. It doesn't make any sense. Or now I'll just say anything that comes through.
Good for you.
Yeah, I'll say anything. And people like that.
Oh, I think that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's really.
Yeah.
That's brave.
Well, I was much younger, and also I guess there's bravery in when you get older. It's like, what if I got to, but so really when I said this is what I do, this is really all I've ever done. And
but that's a wonderful thing, you know?
Yeah, no other job, nothing. It's this, and that's why it's kind of funny when my book title is called The Reluctant Psychic, because we laugh at it because everywhere I went. I remember I think it's a scene also in my book. I went to England many, many times. I've been there about 40 times. And there was one time that I was very, very young, and I decided to go for a reading to this guy who looked really cool, who was doing readings on the street. And I thought, he looks like someone who would be able to tell me something. And I went to him. He started doing tarot cards. Everything he said was absolutely wrong, and he was doing the readings wrong. Everything was, so I'm like, okay, let me do a reading for you. Sure enough, the next thing you know, I'm sitting in the middle of London doing readings for him, and there's a line of people waiting for readings. So there we have it.
Well, it's your destiny.
That's it. And I mean, I'm so thankful because I have met wonderful people from it all, and I am thankful. I know I joke about it a lot, but that's what I do. That's what I do. And
I feel that in these times, people are so stressed.
oh, yeah.
They're having so many problems that to be able to come in and sit for however long they sit,
It's usually
that is
over an hour.
that's a huge
Yeah.
amount of therapy.
It is. I've been told I'm better than a therapist, by the way. But
Oh, I'm sure you are.
I like the fact that the people who are coming are really intelligent people. They're career people. They're just not like, they're not all lovelorn, like people who are just like pining away for someone. These are people who are really, really, they know what's going on. Yet they want me to tell them what else is going on.
Well, and there's such a so many people need therapists now.
Oh,
Finding
absolutely.
a therapist is not even practical anymore. You can't.
No.
So it's easier to have access to you. Is 2 hours a long time?
Oh, I sit for 1 hour. 1 hour.
Is that a long time?
No, it goes fast, and usually it lasts longer.
Really?
Yeah, and they tape it. Everything's taped. I've had people come in when I say you could tape it. I've had people come in with cameras. It's fine too. I don't care.
Right.
Fine. Doesn't
Doesn't
matter to me.
matter.
Doesn't matter to me. It's not a distraction. Nothing could distract me because it's a whole different zone my head goes in. Whole nother thing. It's to me. I'm fascinated by the psychological and the brain part of this. Like, I'm not quite sure what's going on with the brain, but it's like fragmented into different parts when the readings happen.
Oh, that's very
It's
interesting.
very much so. That it's seeing here, it's hearing here. Speech still works the same pretty much, but it's rapid fire.
And if it goes into different parts, then I see that as therapy too. Because if something breaks away, then it kind of has a little bit of freedom it didn't have before. Is that something that I've just made up?
No, it makes sense. The other thing is that sometimes, like when people have a serious illness, though, I'll pick up on that too. That's not always pleasant, of course. But obviously I'm not a doctor, so I can't tell them exactly what's going on, but I do get some medical information.
And you're not seeking that out.
No, it all comes through.
It just
Just
comes,
comes
whether
through.
you want it or not.
It's the thing with this is like it's a free-for-all. I always say it's whatever comes through, comes through. If it doesn't, it doesn't. You can't make a spirit come through if they don't want to come.
That's great.
There's a lot of people who, like, they'll expect sometimes their mother or someone to come through, and frankly, their mother just doesn't want to because she's happy in the heavenly realm. She finally got to heaven. Why would she want to come and talk here?
And the kid wasn't so hot anyway.
No. That wasn't her favorite anyway. And sometimes that comes out too. You weren't her favorite.
Yeah.
Boy, they don't like that.
Well, or maybe I wasn't your favorite either. Maybe you didn't. Because when women start talking, a lot of women have children. And there's one or two that just didn't like them.
No, one or two just don't like them. No. You know what else people don't like? I know we're have to wrap it up, but people always say, like, it doesn't matter what you do with the body and all that stuff after they're dead. Well, your loved ones don't like it just to be kept in a cardboard box, by the way. Just saying.
Just saying.
Just saying. Nobody likes... You know how many people have said, please take me out of the cardboard box. At least put me in a decent urn. Just saying.
They're talking about the ashes and put them in an urn.
Something respectful. Too many people have been left in cardboard boxes. Like unclaimed freight.
It's because nobody knows what to do.
Disrespectful.
Yeah.
And I don't mean, of course, it's sort of funny, but at the same time, this keeps coming up over and over again. Put them in something nice, because it's always the people here. We think, oh, they don't mind, but they do.
So, hands down, we're down to 4 minutes. Oh no, I was going to ask a very important question.
Yes.
Next time we'll have to ask is, what do people really want to happen to the body after death?
They have to get that written down by the people, because there's varied things.
Yeah.
And they do care where they end up. It's not just like, I don't care. They really seem to do care.
We need to get that. That needs to.
But this
fall
is
out.
something like, I feel this comes up so often, and then the person always acts surprised, like, "Oh, I didn't know he cared." But they do.
That's a wonderful way to end the hour. You're coming back soon.
Oh, good.
I'm so happy you're coming back soon. And listen, we've just got a couple minutes. We want to thank Ellen for this wonderful
Thank you,
program.
Ellen.
And
Thank you.
in addition, if you want to get in touch with Fiona to arrange a reading, you can reach her through Facebook.
Yes.
Or-
Facebook, or SusanFionaSaxman.com. That's it.
And you can also see her on YouTube, because she's got all kinds of interviews on YouTube, and each one is better than the other one. And thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you so much, Ellen.
Thank you.